Welcome to Boxing Fans Talk TV. I'm your host, TDT. You can refer to me as Miss T. As you saw in my thumbnail, Daniel Jacobs is back in the ring. Um, Hopefully he's going to do well. But let's turn to. Welcome back to Boxing Fans Talk TV. I'm your host, TDT. You can refer to me as Miss T. And we got a little boxing news. We winding down to the end of the year, so it's not going to be much to talk about boxing. So I know for this show as well as others, we got to get a little creative. But first, I like to start my show off with the water check. How much water did you drink today? This is my 12th bottle. That means when I finish, probably during this show, I will be at 96 ounces per day today. Well, I got past the 10 because for some reason at this time every day, I'm up at 10 bottles of water. And as you know, I drink 8 ounces of water. So, just a recap of what we're doing for those of you who taking the slow journey or the slow walk. We're not eating dairy. The meat that we are selecting to eat is chicken and turkey and tuna fish and crab legs and shrimp. Those are only approved meat on the list or meats on the list that we're eating. We also are not eating bread, and I haven't delved into the complex and simple carbs because it's a slow journey. It's a slow walk. We also not doing condiments of any kind. Maybe mustard is allowed, seasoning is allowed, but like your mayos or dressings, unless it's some kind of like liquid Italian dressing or something that's not made with dairy, then that's allowed too. We're not eating cheese, we're not eating eggs. So I mean that's what a lot of us are on. So if y'all want to do the water check. After this is 96 ounces for me today. I'm gonna drink some more water before I turn it in tonight. So you can shout out in the chat how many waters you drank for the day. I always like to start the show off like that because water is important. Eric Gomez is in the building. What's popping, King? With the bomb squad, as always. So as y'all saw by my thumbnail, I was talking about Danny Jacobs is going to be back in the ring. Now he is slated to return to the ring to face John Ryder on February 12th in London on the Zone. That's a headliner. It's done by Matchroom, or Matchroom is the promoter. That means Eddie Hearn. Um, it's still unclear on whether this is a WBA super middleweight title eliminator. It's not clear if that's what this is, but if it is, it's all to the good. If not, then it might be a good fight because it's Danny Jacobs. Um, Ryder is ranked number 3 in the WBA, and Jacobs is ranked number 5. The importance about this match is that Danny Jacobs is considered like a risky headliner to invest in, and I hate to say it like that, but he was a good fighter. He I'm gonna say he is a good fighter. He has fallen off over the years, and that's why he's a risk, because nobody was asking for this fight. That's what makes the risk. Nobody was asking for the fight. Nobody from any network. And so the Zone is taking a chance. What I like about the Zone is those fighters over there at the Zone, they never complain about getting paid. They get paid after the deed is done. So that means after that fight is over, they get their check. They're not complaining. It's not like some people be trying to lowball them. If I guess Eddie Hearn's philosophy is, if he has to lowball you, then he don't even mess with you at all. So, you don't have those type of incidents happening over there, where you can find that at Golden Boy, you can find that at Mayweather Promotion, you can find that at Top Rank and some of these other promotional companies. But with the Zone, you never hear anybody. And if anybody does have some complaints, please email me and let us know how you feel, because how it's looking in these boxing streets is that people are getting adequate pay, or getting the pay that they're expecting, deserve, and or are happy with. You know what I'm saying? So that's a good thing for the fighters, since the risk of getting in that ring is the same whether you're Canelo or anybody else. So that's what's going on with Jacobs. And like I said, over the years, he been falling off. And in this case, the Zone is taking all the risks. It's not like they could put it pay-per-view, and they're gonna, out of respect to Danny, of course, he'll be the headliner. I mean, it would be kind of messed up. You kind of know your career is kind of going on a decline if you're fighting on people's undercards. You know what I'm saying? That's a way to gauge whether or not your career is declining or you're standing in the boxing community. So, but real talk, and I know this is what the article was exclaiming, but real talk, Danny has been falling falling off a little bit in his appeal, I should say, in these boxing streets, because um you can see that he's not the fighter he used to be. Doesn't mean that he don't have it in him. He just, as you get older, you cannot be father time. So you start falling down or falling off in your appeal. In fact, the last fight that I saw exciting from Danny Garcia, in my opinion, was when he fought Peter Quillen, Kid Chocolate. And that was he beat the mess out of him in the first round. And Peter was kind of out on his feet. Danny Jacob caught him with something, and he just pressed the gas, and he never let off. So I always thought that also that Danny and one of the Charlos would meet up, and I would assume it's Jamal Charlo. Remember, if y'all remember that famous clip when he was walking through the hallway and he saw Charlo, and they went through a back and forth where Danny was like, "I'm touching M's, I'm touching M's," meaning he get paid millions. And at that time, Charlo, I don't think he was getting that type of pay. He was getting some good pay, but I don't think at that time he was getting that type of pay. So they had that little back and forth, and I just knew that it was going to be a fight in the wings somewhere, but it never materialized. So I was like, wow, I was waiting, secretly waiting for that. I don't consider Jamal scared to fight, but yesterday I talked about how people are starting to critique what he's doing or how he's running his career. He's at Showtime. He's in a comfortable position. Um, there's a couple of times that both of them fought on pay per view. Most times they can fight on Showtime, you know, um, without pay per view, and they go back and forth, and it's all right. There are times a fighter can have a pay per view fight and then go back to like regular TV or free TV. Um, that's not necessarily a gauge of the downfall of a fighter because that happens to other people too. So I'm not gonna put that jacket on Daniel Jacobs, but I will say just looking at his performances as of late, because after that Peter Quillen fight for me, I would, the fights that he would get in, I don't even remember the guy's name. I haven't, he fought him. I never saw anybody else fight those guys. And the fight was kind of lackluster because he was like struggling or he was overthinking. And I was like, maybe he got an off night. He would get the win, but he squeak out the win. He would barely get that win, and I was like, maybe he had an off night. And I noticed that a couple of times I said that, and then after that, I really wasn't checking for Daniel Jacobs and his fights. So that was something I thought about. And I said he had a good or okay showing with Triple G. He had a good and okay showing with Canelo. Canelo just didn't run through him, you know what I'm saying? And that was in 2019. So because he was able to withstand Canelo, I was thinking to myself, maybe he's still good. Canelo was a formidable fighter, and at the time we didn't know about Canelo and his drug cheating ways. And so I was like, okay, um, maybe it was a good little showing. Canelo was a hard fighter, but now that we know that he cheats or he gets an allowance or a certain percentage he can take of clenbuterol, at least we know that much. You can't put no stock in Canelo. So maybe he was like that during the Daniel Jacobs fight. If you let Canelo just be Canelo, he has to find a way to overcome him getting tired and winded and shit, and that's all part of fighting. There's a way to do it naturally, but sometimes people don't want to do that hard work to do it. And when you do that hard work to do it, you can become victorious still. But it all depends on how you last. If you want to get a clearer picture of that, think about the Brown versus Better Bia fight this past weekend. Brown was doing a great job until he got tired. Yeah. If he never got tired, he could have did what he did to Better Biev all night. He did the stuff that he did to Better Biev in the first 3 to 4 rounds. He could have been doing that all night, but he got tired. And Better Biev, he doesn't gas out. So see how that can make a difference if the fight flipped on Brown because he gassed out. Jay Gibson is in the Cash App for $3. Thank you, King. Thank you. Um, much appreciated. All the Cash App go to back into the show. As you see, I got the black curtain over that side and be replacing that with another green screen. They not cheap. But that's my logo on the back. And actually got that shirt on. I know you can't see it through the writing. Let me see. And this is what I'm going to wear every time I get on the show. So thank you for the Cash App. Much appreciated. And shout out to you, King. So yeah, so Danny Jacobs, I'm gonna look at the fight because it's Danny. you know, he can be exciting. Whatever tools people get as they age, they still got it. But it's how long can they last? Like another person I put in this category, Mean Machine. That's a good fighter. Good, strong, reliable, powerful fighter. He's going to get tired though. Now imagine if these people never get tired. But there's ways that they can get tired. And how do they get tired? They start cheating. You know what I'm saying? But if they didn't cheat, it's a fair fight. You could win some, you could lose some. And that's how boxing should be. Danny, I'm not saying Danny is a cheater. I'm saying he probably faced some cheaters. Willie Beachman is in the building. Was popping King. Long time no see. He said late to the show. The silk sheets have gotten to Danny Jacobs' head. Yeah, because he's touching M's. He touching M's. But I have seen fights where he struggled, like I said, and it just, I don't want to say I was bored or turned off, but I years ago was like, this is the beginning to the end. And that's because you can't have too many off nights. The first time I saw it, I said, yeah, the off night. Second and third, I'm like, I wanted him to get loose like he did with Peter Quillen, or the fights that he had before Peter Quillen. I think sometimes when you fight certain fighters, they take the drive and the will out of you. You never know what it is. Life can happen. Getting married, having kids. I don't think that was Danny's problems. Like you say, the silk sheets could have been his problem. He's touching M's, so he's a millionaire. And sometimes you can lose the drive and all that. It's all part of boxing. Boxing is probably 60% mental and 40% physical. So if your head right and you keeping your eye on the prize, you can muster up that drive that's gonna make you want to be great or this, that, and the other. And sometimes that drives leave you. Like a lot of you guys talking about Keith Thurman. Um, that's probably his issue. That's probably his issue, whether he wants to admit that or not. Or people who feel like they lost time, because you can't get time back all the time. Or you can't make up for time all the time, I should say. So somebody like a Mikey Garcia, who's out there fighting, and he's not fighting for legacy. He's not out there fighting to improve his standing in boxing or grab some awards. He's out there to make money, simple and plain, while he can still do it. And I can't be totally mad at him, but when a fighter shows you that that's what they're doing, then you as a fan have to decide, do you feel like patronizing them? And that's all it is to it. It's no wrong or right. I don't knock a fighter who's out just for the money. But at the same time, that fighter can't get mad if we don't want to see them. So they're gonna have to give us a product that's gonna make us be like, come out of our pockets to watch them. Now they're talking about well, first, the fact that him and Charlo didn't chop it up, like I said, still it don't sit right with me, because I just knew that was around the corner. Don't understand to this day why that never happened. Because Charles was talking a lot of crap, and so was Danny when he met him up in the hallway. What happened? That's a relevant question. Next time you in either one of these people faces talking to reporters, when you stick the mic in their face, ask them, can you explain to me what really happened with you and Charlo potentially getting it on? Because we don't know. The potential opponents that Danny Garcia can have was David Benavidez, David Morrell Jr., Demetrius Andrade. There we have it. Demetrius been looking and looking for a fight. I would like to see a fight between Demetrius and Daniel. Jamal Charlo, as I said. Caleb Plant, that would be an excellent fight. If I could orchestrate a fight together, if I could put a fight together, a great card could be Danny Jacobs and Caleb Plant, because that would be an excellent chess match. Both of them can box. Both of them know how to get the best out of their punches. Caleb, he might edge Danny in boxing ability, I think, just a little bit, but they both up there. But Danny probably have more power than Caleb. But I don't know if he had power like on the level of Canelo or Triple G. So Caleb Plant and Daniel Jacobs, that's a good card. Providing that they get good undercards. That would be an excellent event to put on, like Showtime, you know. I don't know if I would go so far as to say pay-per-view, but that would be an excellent venue for Showtime. If anybody from Showtime listening, thank me later. Caleb Plant and Daniel Jacobs should be your next fight after he faces challenger now. PGH Big Dog is in the building. He says, salute Queen T. Salute to you too, King. But don't y'all think that Danny Jacobs and Caleb Plant would be a good matchup? What y'all think about it? I think it would be good. I mean, two boxers. One has slightly more power, but it's not like Caleb can't take a power shot. But they will be playing chess all night, and it'll be like who's gonna let their hands go first, and this, that, and the other. I mean, I think that would be a good card. But don't put no bullshit on the undercard. That will sour the whole thing. It has to be a good card all the way through. PGH Big Dog said PBX needs to stop all these C-level pay-per-view cards. Yeah. I'm actually gonna be on that Fred tip. I'm not buying no more. Unless you top echelon. And what I want to see, because y'all know the next fight I want to see is Crawford and Spence. All the rest is like anytime Deontay get in there, I'm gonna see. I'm gonna pay for that. But that's all the pay-per-view I'm buying. And I think you don't have to have no big time budget. There's a whole lot of way that they can scale back. I'm talking about the networks can scale back some of the money they set aside for their budget for boxing per whatever night. I was astonished to hear that they could give a promoter $500 million to put together a card. Are you serious? Where the promoter is pretty much keeping the bulk, like either 400 or 300 million, the leftover money. You know, I mean, they could cut out the middleman for sure. In fact, I'm gonna write a point paper for that, but I'm gonna give it to HBO. I'm gonna give it to HBO. I'm gonna write that up and I'm gonna pass it to HBO. I don't know whether they're gonna listen or not, but you know, you got to do it in a way that's like a marketing projected type paper or whatever. And I can do that. I know I can. Plus, I have people in my family who have degrees in marketing, so I know that I could do that. And shout out to my family members, Little Willie, my nephew. He's an excellent marketer. He works with some notable people, famous people, and everything in Atlanta. He's young cat, you know. He living his life, living his best life. But yeah, out of all of these potential uh opponents, I think Caleb is an excellent choice. Y'all tell me what y'all think. Andrew Charles is in the building. It's T to T. Salute to you too, King. For real, I want to hear what y'all say. But they also listed as a potential opponent for Danny is Better BF. I don't think he want to do that. After what I saw before this past weekend and this weekend, I don't think Danny Jacobs want any parts of Arthur Better BF. Don't think he want that. Bivol, I remember seeing him fight before, but I have forgotten about him a little bit. I have to go back and watch some of his stuff. And Triple G, that's a fight that can be put together too. Do we really want to see a Triple G and Danny Jacobs? Maybe. I personally think when they did fight, I actually edged Danny. Not by much, but I knew they was gonna give it to Triple G anyway. But if Danny ain't the same, if he ain't his old self, I don't think he can handle Triple G. And I could be wrong. But Caleb Plant and Daniel Jacobs, what y'all think? I think that would be a good one. Hans Beachman is in the building. Was popping King. He said Jacob should be Plant's comeback fight. Yeah, I think because you can't. I will be excited for both. I will watch it. How about y'all? Out this list that they gave me, Jacobs is not gonna be able to do nothing with Beterbiev unless he catch him. Because Beterbiev, he's not a great boxer in my opinion. He's young. He's another one who's young. I like him, a big fan of his, no doubt. But he's young and he squares up all the time. And the only thing that saves him is his youth. He got power. But when you get older and them reflexes slow down, what you gonna do? That's why it's important to be fundamentally sound if you're gonna be up in here boxing. Andrew Charles said Plant Jacobs would be a pretty nice matchup. I think it can make the money. It doesn't have to be pay-per-view. And the best thing about Danny Jacobs is he had the fortitude to know to go to the zone. And see, we get on Eddie all the time, but Eddie is about to give him a fight where he's the headliner. And I told y'all sometimes the good thing about having the zone is some of them undercards, you might not know who they are, but they be good little nuggets. They be good little nuggets. I mean, I be watching them and be like, damn, that was a good fight. Better than the shit that they offer us everywhere else. So I mean, the zone, I give him a shout out to that. And the fact that you don't hear about their fighters complaining about how they get paid or what they get paid. If anybody got to say something different, I welcome you to come to the show and explain to us that, because how it looks, as I said earlier, is that the zone be paying their fighters pretty good or adequately enough for them to have a career in fighting. So like you got people, and I do not like this. If you're a boxer and you're getting paid $5,000 or $7,500 or whatever, that's not enough to say that's your job. And boxing is one of them things, if you ever want to be great, it's like you can't serve two masters. You can't have a full-time job and doing the day-to-day hustle and bustle of that and trying to be a great boxer. I'm not going to say it's impossible to do, because there are people who are great like that. But it's one of them things, it's not ideally set up for you to be great if you have to do that. That's why young fighters need to be careful about, becoming fathers early before they ready, because you're going to miss a lot of family time. It come with the job. You're going to have to go away. You're going to have to go out there and see other prospects. You're going to have to go to a lot of fights. You have to be able to afford the tickets to these fights and the airfare to fly to these events. And you can't do that and think you're going to rise to the top just by just staying in your local gym and having sparring sessions and training and all that stuff. And stranger things can happen. That can happen to you, but not necessarily. If you want to get a better understanding of that, look at Isaac Cruz's career. And I've been looking, and I know I just go against kind of the grain of what I say I normally do or don't do. I don't pocket watch anybody. I don't. That's not my business. But I just wanted to see, for historical purposes, what kind of pay was Isaac Cruz getting until he had his opportunity. Because I looked at the All Access show, and I can tell you from living in Spain twice or being in a lot of Spanish culture or countries, that that's humble beginnings where he was supposedly at his home. That's real humble beginnings. And then he told, he teared up one time. He was talking about his family, and he was like, he has to leave them all the time to concentrate, to focus, and that's the life of a boxer. And you cannot do that if you're not getting paid adequately. And now Isaac Cruz came out of that Tank Davis fight with roughly about $600,000. He had a guaranteed purse of $300,000. But I think because it wasn't a pay-per-view, so he got some money on the back end. He probably still getting money on the back end, but he's close to being a millionaire. And he went from like 11,000 followers on YouTube to or his channel or whatever his IG to 125,000 like overnight. That's what an opportunity can do for you. They cannot lowball him no more. If this man, I am so interested to know if this man was getting paid 5,000 here, 10,000 there, because that's very possible. And then he ran up on a 300,000. Now, you know what that kind of money would do for where he come from? For every US dollar is probably worth three of theirs. That's a lot of money. Andrew Charles said, I've seen some solid undercards on the zone. You'll see some solid prospects sometimes if you like to keep up with the youngsters grinding it out. I do watch it because that's how I was introduced to and I agree with you, Andrew. That's how I was introduced to Isaac Cruz. That's why I was always bigging him up ever since the summer. You know, I didn't know who he was when I first started watching him, but I was like, man, this dude is a force to be reckoned with. Why ain't nobody calling him out? Why they not signing him up to fight nobody? And he's training at the same gym with the same folks, same mundane routine. And he comes up and I think he fought 6 times in America. Think about that. You ain't got a lot of money. Your main job is boxing. You I don't see him having no regular 9 to 5, but he could have, or his wife could have. You know, they ain't making much. And he's fighting. His dad is all in. And collectively, as a family, they probably did whatever they had to do to get you got to travel up to the US to wherever the fights are. They, you know, fights are not always one location. They could have been in Cali at sometimes. They could have been in Texas. They could have been in Las Vegas. He's coming up there for an opportunity to be seen. And Showtime was putting him on the Tizu, and he's fighting, and maybe he was getting paid 5,000, 10,000, 15,000. And somehow or another, he has to make that money stretch. Maybe he got a 20,000. I'm telling you, I really don't know his exact amount, but I would be very interested to find out because then, you know, the story need to be told so people, young fighters can understand how this works. His family collectively helps him to concentrate on nothing but boxing because they know he the goods. They believe in him. He believe in himself, and he ran up on a good payday, a great opportunity, and it's only going to get better for him going forward. But look how long, if you think about it, he's been fighting a long time. He's a young guy. He's 24. He probably started fighting when he was 15 in Mexico because they don't have the same rules as American when it comes to becoming a professional fighter. And he been struggling, just doing what he could do, you know. So shout outs to that, you know. But back to Daniel Jacobs, you know, everything he do going forward now is pretty much a money grab. But it's not that now he's different from Mikey, because Mikey, you know, it's a money grab. You know, that's all it is. I think Danny still wants to be a champion, and that's good enough for me. I hope that's good enough for the rest of the boxing fans. But I can tell you, I think he still has it in his mind that he wants to be a champion or get an opportunity to fight for a championship belt. I don't think he gave that up. But better BF, I don't think he need to go there or Bivol or he fought Triple G before, so that's the only reason why I would say okay. David Morrell is too young and hungry. He got youth on his side like something fierce. And I don't know, he might have trouble with that. David Benavidez does not stand properly in the boxing stance. He has a lot of holes that some skilled fighter with power could take advantage of it. But if you could withstand his barrage, Demetrius Andre, I don't, I personally don't think that he has the ability to beat him. Danny Jacobs, by the way, y'all, is 37 years old, and somewhere around there, he's up there. I read, and I hope no, hold on, let me see. Well, he's up there. I have to go back and check to see how old he is, but he's not getting young, and you can already start to see the wear and tear set in from aging. Not that these people are super old; they're very young still, as far as life is concerned. But in the boxing world, when being old in the boxing world is different from just being old. Period in your life. You know, I'm old, and I don't consider myself old. So, and they way younger than me. Um, Andrew Charles said Andre got one of my favorite styles to see in the ring. Yes. That one when he ducked down and be looking up at you. And I'm sure if he doing that, the fighter thinking I could just come down, they just see a great opportunity, but they looking down at him as he ducked down in front of them. They not looking at this right that's about to come across the top, and he could throw that shit with authority. I done seen him do that so many times. He's an awkward fighter. He's definitely an awkward fighter, and I think that's the risk of fighting Andre that a lot of people don't want to take because he can fuck around and knock you out. Um, so I don't know. Jacobs, get it together. We'll follow you because you've been a good dude in these boxing streets, and you have given us some good some boxing matches, and he has a great boxing story. From whence he came. He was a highly favored prospect before he even went pro, just coming out the amateurs. But he had cancer, and he had a kind that should have derailed anybody. Just even if he never boxed again, the fact that he's walking straight up and he gets to be there and be a father for his son, because his cancer was something serious, and he came back from all that and made a comeback and became champion and put on some great shows. But he could be at the latter end. Maybe it's time to hang it up. I don't know, but that would be a choice he make. It's his career. But I do think that he's gonna put on a good show if he can. When he's in there, he do fight like he's a little timid, and that could be a reason. Maybe everything don't work as good as he could tell. His reflexes are gone. I don't know, but I will be watching his fight coming up, and that will be on. I think I said the date. Um, Let me see. What date? I did say the date. February, I think. February 12th. So that's what we got to look forward to. So in other news, Derek Chisora is feeling a certain kind of way. And I don't blame him. I didn't get to catch the Joseph Parker and Derek Chisora. There's some fights that I still need to catch up on from this past weekend, but the dude is feeling a certain way. And from my understanding, I'm not a fan of Derek. But I don't hate him neither. But from my understanding, he puts on a hell of a fight. No matter what fight he's in, he's like a I guess a Sean Porter kind of way. Like when Sean fight, it's gonna be a good fight. That Sean gonna bring it, and you gonna have to fight. It's gonna be action back. It's gonna be some back and forth. And from my understanding, Derek Chisora kind of does that. And him and Joseph Parker put on a good back and forth fight. Joseph Parker won. They said that Joseph Parker looked, extraordinary, better than usual. Like he kind of dug down deep and refocused himself. But Derek is feeling a little certain kind of way. And he's feeling this way about folks calling for his retirement. And he is 37. And I think his opponent was 36. Or young, well, I don't know how old Joseph Parker is, but he ain't that far off him. But they calling for his retirement. His answer to all that is pretty much mind your business. Don't worry about me. He's basically telling folks you don't like what you see, don't watch it. Is he right? What y'all think about that? If y'all caught the fight, do y'all think it's time for him to hang it up? Do you think it's time for him to go ahead and let it go? The man enjoys his career. He enjoys the job that he has. All of us should be lucky to enjoy whatever job we have, but he enjoys it. He enjoys the camp of it all. He enjoys getting in the ring, just the whole pomp and circumstance of it all. and he wants to do it as long as he can. Now he did say he don't see himself doing it at 40 or something like that, some crazy age like that. But he, at 37, he's not ready to hang it up. And he doesn't have to. I mean, he could go to 40 and beyond 40. It all depends on how he feels. But like we said about Danny, there's a fall off. And but he's still who he is. So he always been a fighter to battle it out with anybody. So he thinks that should count for something. But all the retirement talk, whether from the fans or the pundits, he not hearing it. He not trying to hear any of it, especially if it's coming off his loss to Joseph Parker recently, because he's saying that could happen. Basically, he's saying that could happen to anybody. You guys jump in my case about one fight. I mean, I could have had a bad night. He could have been more focused. He wanted it more. I mean, these things can happen whether you're 37 or 21. So that's his explanation. But the fans, and the pundits, well, mostly probably the pundits, he feels like if you come around him with that type of attitude, that you bring in a negative vibe, and he wants the world to know if you have that negative vibe, you need to stay the hell away from him. Do y'all blame him? What y'all think about that? I mean, he want to keep fighting, but he could have a fight in his future where it's definitely time to hang it up. Like, I think Deontay Wilder is one of those fighters. Like, if you fight him, it's definitely time to hang it up. Y'all do me a favor. If you're in here, smash the like button and the subscribe button for me, please. Hit those beesies, hit those buttons, the like button and the subscribe button. Hook a sister up. But yeah, what do y'all think about that? Should he retire, or do he have a point or something? For me, how I'm looking at it, you young as you feel. I didn't see the fight, so I ain't gonna comment on his last fight. But if it's so terrible, like I will tell you like this. Remember when Holyfield fought in September? See, I can have an opinion about this because we all saw it. He should never fight again. He should stay retired. You look good for an old man, Holyfield. Damn good. He do. He in shape. And we should all be so lucky to be his age and look like that. And he probably could do a whole lot of things like play golf, or he could train people and get that same type of work or experience, that exercise, because it could be just you're addicted to that back and forth, that exercise, that routine. You can get that on wearing a trainer's hat. But to get in that ring, hell to the no. We could definitely look at him and say, dude, your career is done. Let it stay done. But somebody who's been an active fighter for a while, and I've heard of Chisora being active in these last couple of years, more so than a lot of people. And he just feels like, it's not time for him. And y'all need to stop coming at him like that. Ageism is definitely something we should not participate and engage in, because that's discrimination in a sense. And nobody likes it when it's done to them. But some people have to be told the truth. I'll go back and watch that fight, and maybe I'll come back later and tell you whether or not I can be like, yeah, Chisora, you need to go on and hang that up. But y'all chime in, let me know. Let me know how you feel about that one too. I'm put the link in the chat. Okay. So hold on. I put the link in the chat. The phone lines are open. If you're looking at me through Facebook, you can call in 706-804-4449, or those in the chat, however you guys want to do it. Let me know your opinion about that, because I think I'm not going to agree to anything that's dealing with ageism, or discrimination when it comes to age, because it's not fair. I'm telling you, if you're young, you might can't understand it or whatever, but trust me, all of us who is way older have been young before, And I'm telling you, it's like a blink of an eye. It's like I can blink my eyes, seem like sometimes, and be like, damn, I'm back in my 20s. It was just yesterday. That time will fly by so fast. And you don't want nobody denying you something or standing in your way or throwing monkey wrenches in your way when you're trying to do something just because you're older and they feel like, it should be about how you feel. So I agree with him to that point. But when you lose your ability like Holyfield has, then no, then you got to go. You got to go sit down for you seriously get hurt. Because I mean, people like Holyfield, he's ahead of the game for his age group, and that's how you're gonna be judged with by your peers. It's unfair to put Holyfield, who's over 55, and judge him against somebody who's 22. That is or 32 or something. That's unfair. But when you judge him against other 55-year-olds or older, and you be like, dude, you way ahead of the game. That has never changed from you for you. When you was 21, you was well ahead of the game against other 21-year-olds, even the people a few years older and younger. That's that lifestyle that you have been used to, or that claim to fame, you still have that. But you are in no comparison to somebody who's in their early 30s or 20s, not even in 40 to be, truthfully honest, that's dangerous too. But I don't know. Just sort of to each his own. Good luck. If you feel like you still got it, keep it pushing. Um, I wanted to say this. I saw this on in my reading today. Sugar Ray Robinson, aka Walker Smith Jr. That's right. That's his real name. Did y'all ever see the documentary on him? I watched it several times, and they was talking about that was how he got the name Sugar Ray Robinson. He was in line. It was some this is the picture they painted that I remember. He kind of like in line to get a fight. Like, it's a few guys and they all in line and they, this is how they used to do it back then. They be like, okay, you can fight, you can fight, you can fight. And it was somebody whose name was Ray Robinson that was supposed to, get the fight, but I guess uh what's his name? Walker Smith didn't get picked, which is Sugar Ray Robinson. So it was one of them things like I'll be your Huckleberry, I'm Ray Robinson type thing. Well, and that's how he got his name. But he won his first title defense 75 years ago or something like that. A while ago. But what made this very interesting, that was his 76 fight when he won his first title. And I was like, damn. And looking at how boxing is today and put it in perspective, you got some people that get an opportunity the first time out, like a Lomachenko, which none of y'all can understand how Lomachenko first fight as a professional was for a title defense. I don't know how people do that. If it was his second fight as a title defense, I wouldn't know how you do that. But Ray Robinson had to go 75 fights before he could get one. So he got his and he won. He fought somebody with the last name Bell. Not familiar with that fighter, but he did this December 20th, 1946, and he was 25 years old when he did that. So that's a good little nugget of history. I felt that was interesting that they had to go through so much more and they fought 15 rounds, 15 grueling rounds. And I always say this about people from the past compared to people of today and including myself in it. We don't make them like we used to. We don't make them like we used to. I look at all these fighters and I used to look at it when Floyd was fighting. And I would say to myself, which one of these fighters can actually go 15 rounds? And it won't many. I can tell you for sure, Floyd was pretty much the only one that I thought of. I would have loved it might have been more, and I would have loved to thought of more. But Floyd, I would look at him and say, man, that nigga could go 15 rounds. I believe he still could go 15 rounds. So he could, to me, be a force to be reckoned with in yesteryears comparatively to the time frame he had his career. And he held it down for almost 20 years. So, he could have fought back then with the Ray Leonards and all them stuff and been able to compete. Whether he would have won or whether I leave that to somebody else. I think he could have, but that to each his own how they think and feel about that. But I definitely feel like he could have compete. A lot of fighters today, I'd be like, there's no way. There's no way. I don't know. You guys could chime in on that. There's no way that they could have even uh contended in yesteryears. And then I read that little piece of historical fact about Sugar Ray Robinson that he had to fight 75 fights before he can even get his first title. Talk about dedication and commitment. And a lot of these fighters today don't even have that, especially these ones that are cheating. You don't even have that type of dedication. So, shout outs to Sugar Ray Robinson. May he rest in peace. Now, I want to move on to Ruslan Pavagnikov. Jason Jadui in the building. What's popping, King? He said, keep up good work, Queen. Thank you, sir. I hope I said your last name correctly, or Jadui. Okay. But Ruslan Pavagnikov, y'all remember him? I met this dude. He's a mean ass. But you know what I'm going to say? He could have had an off day. I met him in 2015. I went to the Floyd and Pacquiao fight. That's the first time that I met Terrence Crawford. It's just funny what a difference a couple of years would make. Terrence Crawford back then was not a millionaire. He was maybe a thousandaire, but he was not a millionaire. And I met him walking down the street, talking about Terrence, and he was just as pleasant then as when I just met him again in October. Same guy, same pleasant guy. I mean, and he's fan friendly. And we know that Terrence is egotistical. We know that he has a lot of bravado. We know that he can be arrogant, but that comes with the territory of boxing. But he definitely, I could tell you this about that man. He definitely knows how to balance that shit. A lot of people don't. Now, just because I said that about Terrence, that don't mean that other people don't have the attributes. I'm telling you about somebody I actually met. So I ain't gonna speak on people I didn't meet, but I do see people out there. Like I see Errol like that, but I have never met Errol. So I can only speak on who I met. And I was walking and I said, Terrence, as if I know him. Terrence. And he said, oh, you recognize me? I said, of course. I said, can I get a picture? He said, yeah, yeah. And he got his friend. He was hanging with two guys and they took my picture. And I said, thank you so much. I enjoy watching the fights. He said, thank you for watching. A gentleman, straight up gentleman. You know what I'm saying? And that was that he had on a regular gray like jumpsuit. Not I call it jumpsuit, jog suit. As I kept walking down the street, that was it. That was our meeting. That was it. And as I kept, he was there for the fight too. I was wishing he was on the undercard, but he wasn't. And as I kept walking down the street, they was under some kind of construction. We was walking up and down the strip, and we had to walk up in some stairway, and it was like boarded off. Like if this the main street, the sidewalk was boarded off. Somehow you had to walk up these stairs just to keep going because the sidewalk and everything was blocked off and boarded up. And as you know, people were walking through, everybody made their own lanes like a car lane. Like they was walking down, you had traffic going this way and you had traffic going back this way. Well, I'm walking down, Ruslan was walking back this way. And I was 2015 brought out everybody. I met Tom Brady. I ain't really know who he was because I don't follow football like that. I was right beside his ass. He won't tripping. I won't tripping. I was like, what's up? I could tell people liked him, but I was like, what's up? I mean, everybody, you name them, I met them. You know what I'm saying? And I didn't fan out because I know people there just to be regular and enjoy the festivities like me. So I promised myself, I said, don't fan out unless it's Floyd. I met Nate, Floyd's trainer. I met some people in Floyd's camp. I did not see Floyd. I did see his daddy over yonder. I tried to get to him, but it was just too many people that jumped on him. But anyway, I met Ruslan. He's coming down the walkway, and I was like, Ruslan, just like that, like Ruslan, like a fan. This motherfucker, he looked at me and was like, bitch, get the fuck out of my face. I was like, I'm not bullshitting. Now, do I say that to say that this man is mean and, paint his character as or besmirch his character? I'm not doing that. He is probably a very nice man with good common sense and everything. I vaguely remember that he possibly could have been, he's supposed to be on Floyd's undercard. Something happened. Something was going on with either Floyd's card or a fight that was coming in next week. Some kind of way he got screwed. And he could have been upset in the moment of whatever just happened to him. Or maybe he had a bad day. And that's how I look at it. Because he didn't say nothing. He didn't say none of this word. And you heard me say, he was like, bitch, but he had his hand up like, bitch, if you if you come any more closer to me, like, get the fuck back. Like, and I was like, damn, he was mean. He wasn't fan friendly. But over the years, looking back retrospectively, I think he had a bad day. I think something happened because after that weekend, because Ruslan was an active fighter all the way up to that point. After that, you hardly ever saw Ruslan fight again. Now, I'm not saying he didn't have a fight, but we probably didn't see him. Ruslan was one of them relentless fighters that kept coming at you, and the dude was he was gonna be trouble for somebody. You know what I'm saying? Dre Finest is in the building. Salute my sister at Miss T. Salute to you too, King. Ruslan was like on a higher level than damn Isaac Cruz. He could hurt you. Like, I mean, he looked like he could damn put you in the hospital. Like, that's what I think about Beterbiev if you fight him. That's what I was thinking about Ruslan. The battles that him and Tim Bradley had. Tim Bradley probably stopped his career because of him. I think Tim Bradley even had a serious concussion where he'd take some serious time off after fighting a Ruslan Bravagnikov. That dude wasn't an easy win. And I think that's what I think him and Chris Algieri even fought, and that's probably why people give Chris Algieri some props because he was in there with that guy. Ruslan kind of disappeared. I don't know what fuck shit happened to this man, but it would be interesting to know his story. But he was fighting recently, and that's why I'm talking about him. He fought an Ali Bagatinov, which is a former UFC fighter. I didn't know that Ruslan was still fighting. There's something that I just thought I don't know what happened to him. He just disappeared. And he was a former WBO 140 champ or contender. I don't know. That what it said in the article. After the fight, Provodnikov said, "This is a one-off," and that was important. Why I'm deciding to share this because I thought I was oh shit, he coming back. It's 2021. 2015 was only 6 years ago. I don't know how old Ruslan is today. I don't know how old he was back then. But if he was in his early 20s back then and 6 years has passed and maybe he was fighting, he just wasn't getting no airtime, then hey, I'm interested in seeing him still. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if y'all can see that. My what you call it? Security thing. How you got like McAfee or something. It just popped up in the front. But I don't have McAfee, but whatever they call that. your security for your internet. I don't know if it popped in the screen, but if it did, sorry. But so Ruslan, like I said, he could have went back home. I know he's from Russia. He's he's pure Russian, and I guess he would consider himself a white guy, but he looks. For those of you who either forgot about him or was wondering, he looks Asian. He straight looks Asian, but a lot of Russians look like that. They have parts of Russia where the people look Asian, and their parents be white. You know, it was another fighter out there that kind of got that same look from one of those areas, and his parents white. If you're joining in, smash the like button and subscribe button, please. Hook a sister up. That's all I want for Christmas. And so after the fight, you know, I didn't see the fight. Now I'm gonna go try to search for that fight just to see how he still got it or whatever. Maybe every now and then he wants to get in the ring. Maybe he's just a big combative type person. He likes to fight, you know, every now and then. But as far as his career, he lets it be clear he is not coming back. And that's okay. I hope he made the money he needed to make to sustain him for the rest of his life. But from what the article was talking about, and these are people who saw the fight, they could see the degrade in him. Dre finally said already. Yeah, they could see the degradation in him. You know, like he's not as quick and nimble as he used to be. He's not as relentless as he used to be. They some people might even say that the guy he was fighting was kind of putting hands and feet on him, more so than he was putting it on the guy. But I think he won the fight. He won the fight. Nevertheless, the guy feels that he won the fight. So I don't know what was all going on because I didn't see that fight, but I'm going to look it up. When was his last fight? Remember, Ruslan would take a lot of punches just to give some. He was one of them type dudes. He'll take a lot of punches just to give some, and he was fearless. He's also 37, and his opponent was 36. So in boxing, that's old man or old lady, you know what I'm saying? But you are as young as you feel. That's what that's what Chisora was saying. He should wear a t-shirt saying that because you don't want people to be like, go sit your old self down, you know, whatever. But the UFC fighter got beside himself in the fight, and that's usually out of frustration, or he just couldn't turn off that UFC style, and he flipped Ruslan over his shoulder. That's another reason why I want to see it, because I want to see when a UFC fighter fight a boxing, you know, what happens when they do shit like that. But he apparently flipped him over his shoulder, and the ref just gave him a warning. I'm like, shit, ref, you know how many moves and taking somebody and getting them on your shoulder and then flipping them and shit. That's a lot of moves to just give a warning. How about some points? I want to go see that desperately. Dre finally said, I believe he realizes how cricket boxing is. Yeah, and it broke his heart. I think that too. I think and that shit was 2015. Oh my God, I'm gonna tell you right now. That shit was surrounding the Mayweather Pacquiao fight. So I don't know which one of the two broke his heart or did him dirty or did him greasy. But if he got a story to tell, holla at your girl. Holla at your girl, because I'm telling you, he was slated for something. And it was a big to do for him. It was going to be big in his career. And I remember them building something up, or it was like, oh, he might have to face whoever it just never materialized. And when I tell you, it's almost like that shit was fresh. Cause when I saw him, I was there for the fight. And that was one time that I went to Vegas where I just came there for the fight and I was just there for the weekend. So I got in there Friday evening and or midday, and I was there and left Sunday, first day in the morning. So I really wasn't even in Vegas that long. But whatever they did to him, that was fresh. Cause I mean, the way he put his hand up was like, you know, like Like, and I'm telling you, the spaces we was walking down, because that sidewalk was cut off, and y'all seen how walking up and down Vegas Strip, there's a lot of people going up the strip or coming down. So this little area that they carved out for us, because the sidewalk was cut off, you could only single file walk down one way, and everybody was, what y'all say, nut the butt. Everybody was up on each other, walking in their respective direction. With him, there he had a big wide gap between him and the person in front of him and the person behind him. When I tell you that dude had fumes coming off him, and at the time, my first mind was like, that's a mean motherfucker. But looking back, somebody did something to him. Dre's finally said, I don't want to see war versus Wilder. I believe it would be a death match for him. Wilder would destroy him, period. War, which one? You talking about Dillian White? I don't mind taco meat getting served up with some taco shells and some lettuce and tomatoes and all that on the plate. I don't mind him getting served up, because he talked a lot of crap to Wilder. He was one of the people that was in complicit with trying to downgrade this man. So he needs his. Remember Dillian back in the day? Wilder. I was trying to be the buffer. You said no. But yeah, shout out to Ruslan. I will written, you know what? Now I'm gonna look his ass up, but he could have went back to his country, and therefore ain't nobody gonna find him. I ain't got that kind of money to travel around the world to get with him. You talking about Chisora? Chisora, yeah. Chisora said he still feel like he got it, and he still want to get it in. You saw that fight, Dre Finest? Because I was saying, if anybody want to chime in, and because I didn't see that fight. I was talking about it earlier in the show, that Chisora is feeling a certain kind of way, because people coming at him talking about he need to go ahead and hang it up and take it back to the house, and he's like, don't come around me with that negative vibe. I'm good. I lost the fight. You win some, you lose some. That's kind of what he's saying, and people is like, nah, nigga, you need to retire. But from my understanding, that was a good fight between him and Joseph Parker. It was a lot of going back and forth. You say yes. So, are you saying yes that he need to hang it up? But he's saying he feel like he got some more fighting to do. He's one of them people that enjoy everything of it, the pomp and circumstance of everything with boxing. He enjoys the camp. He enjoys the lead up, the press conference. He enjoys the whole thing. And just because he's 37, don't put no jacket on him saying he old. That's how you feel. And he was like, get the hell away from me. This is the answer to that shit. Get the hell away from me if you coming with them negative vibes. He said, if you don't like it, don't watch it. So I was like, damn. You said, sis, me and you know Wilder is in no playing mood. You dig? Exactamundo. I showed Doug. Yes, I did. Wilder will hurt him. That's why I was saying he can still feel that way, because he ain't faced nobody like a Wilder. There are people who you can face that will make you rethink, do you really want to still boxing? Most of us, it could be an average C-level fighter that we could get in the ring with. Like, if I've never boxed professionally, I did karate, and I did it formally, meaning I was in competitions. I won competitions doing it. So I've been in combat sports. I'm in the military. I was in the military. I retired. I was in the war. So I know how to, physically protect myself a little bit. But, like, as far as boxing, I never boxed per se professionally. But if I had gotten in the ring with somebody and they hit me one good time, we doing boxing rules, then I don't know how I would feel. I tend to think that I would be all right, but I'm too old now to get into that. I wish that I would have got into it when I was young. It's like a missed opportunity for me. I ain't sad, but that wasn't my life back then. But yeah. But some people, and I'm talking young, you get in the ring and you realize real quick. We train kids all the time. And I'm gonna tell you, some of them kids know at an early age, like, nah, I ain't gonna do that. But their dad want them in there, or there's something that their dad make them do to keep them occupied. Otherwise, if you don't put your sons in something, what they gonna do? They gonna stand around and play video games or computer games, which is worse, and have a pouch by the time that they like 2021, and that is not cute. Y'all ever see them little 18, 19, 20 year olds with an actual pouch, a pooch? Mm-mm. That's not the business. Trey finally said he was seriously hurt, dude. I thank you. I think he would. Exactly. Exactly, Mundo. But yeah, so a lot of these fathers will put their sons in boxing, and they don't be hovering fathers. Like I said, I train to be a coach. I'm gonna try to get my license to do it too. But we train with kids, and some of the kids when they first start they like it, but after a while, when you see that it's a lot of workout, it takes a lot of discipline. And then some of them be like, "Well, I want to play baseball, and I want to play football, and I want to play something else." Or we have little girls too, and they may, little girls tend to get to a certain age, and then they be like, "Nah, it's not cute," because the guys are real crucial or critical at that age when they young, and they may look at it like, "Well, you're a girl, you're not supposed to be doing nothing that rough." So a lot of times the girls will fall back, and that's unfortunate. And my coach be like, "Can you talk to him?" I'm like, "No, she's being a little girl." You want somebody who in their mind wants to do it. You don't want somebody to be doing it because somebody expect them to do it or want them to do it. It must start with them. So I be like, no, coach, if she likes it, she'll come back. But right now she's being a little girl and she has to win. I mean, she has to get her girl on. You can't understand that. Coach be like, man, he just dreamed of coaching some little girl to go on to be big. Like, but that age between like 15 and 18 is real. It's real tricky for little girls. All the ages are for little girls, but that age especially because it's kind of around that age that they're gonna formulate what type of woman they're gonna be. So it's real important to have good people around your daughters around that age and people that's giving them good guidance and all that because you don't want them to be weak. You don't want them to be Millie Mouse. You don't want them to bring themselves down just to please everybody. You want them to be, as y'all say in this generation, woke and understanding of what they can do and what they can't do, and be okay with if somebody um wants to ostracize them, but especially if it's for something that they doing is worthwhile. That peer pressure right there in that age group, 15 to 18. So I'll always would say, let them be little girls. They'll come back. Some of them do, some of them don't. But to the fathers that bring their little sons in, what I see with them is that a lot of times you could tell the little boys who got that heart. Like you remember how I say you can't buy a heart. You can see that shit in little kids. You can't buy a heart. You can't train a heart. And there's some guys who just don't like to get hit in the face. Some girls who don't like to get hit in the face. But those guys who don't like to get hit in the face, you don't want them in there unless they want to be there. So um that's just the gist of that when it comes to boxing. Um But again, I would advise everybody to go try to check out that Ruslan fight out just to see. He was a great fighter in his little brief moment in the sun. He gave some good fights. His fights with Timothy Bradley is the one that I remember the most. I mean, I think he did fight Algieri, and I think that's what put Algieri on the map just by even being in the ring with him. Um, okay, and I want to move on to Gary Russell. Y'all know Gary is loved over here. It's all loved over here. The DMV, Gary Russell Jr. Um, versus Mag Sale. Now I remember when Mag Sale called him out after he fought that he fought a good fight in Caseo, when he was losing, and he I don't know what he did. He dug in, or Casale wasn't paying attention. This was back in August, and he brought it out of. I mean, he just came out of nowhere, and he caught him. And once he caught him, he finished him like you supposed to. But he works under Pacquiao, so everybody's head is growing over there at Pacquiao. You gotta watch their head, man. You gotta look at the tape when they first get with Pacquiao, see how big their head is, and then over the years, just see how big their head grow. And that's not me cracking on a type of people, Filipino or not, but it's just me saying that that is a telltale sign for that T. Dre finally said DMV all day. You dig? You dig. I most certainly am. I'm from the VOT. I'm from VA, so you know it's DMV for me all day, every day, and twice on Sunday. So Max Hale has worked his magic to become the mandatory challenger, because I thought Gary had another challenger, Mando challenger. That remember that guy he was mandatory, he had to face, and that guy wound up fighting on Canelo's undercard, and now Max Hale, who had called him out back in August, now he gets an opportunity, and I think Gary should dust his ass. But that fight is going to be on January 22nd, 2022 in Atlantic City, New Jersey. So there you have it. That's a fight a lot of us can go up to on the East Coast. Showtime is putting it on. It begins at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. TGB Promotion are the promoters, and the tickets are available right now on Ticketmaster. So that's a fight to look forward to anytime Gary Russell Jr. get in the ring. Now he's getting up there in age too. I don't know his exact age, but he has no damage. He has no damage to himself, and the dude got all the tools in the world. What a complete fighter! He's one of them fighters that I like to say, what can he do? And when you say that about a fighter, like what can't they do? You know, that's a complete fighter. There's only a few of them out here in these boxing streets that's like that. Dre's finally said, that's them silver teeth kids. They are not to be played with. I won't miss it. Damn, for sure, I won't miss it. But yeah, that's like I said, the boxing news is gonna be slowing up. I'm gonna have to be real creative to think of something to play for y'all. You know, maybe I could get something to play for y'all that's like because it's all about ownership. You gotta be careful. But hell, if I own a subscription to one of these movie type channels or whatever, can I play that up here if I want to? I wonder. I wonder, like if I go on Hula and play a movie or something. You know, sometimes people can introduce you to a little nugget or two out there. I love it when somebody introduced me to a nugget or two. And I told DJ on Wednesdays, I'm gonna reserve Wednesdays for UFC talk, you know, because I'm trying to get into it, but I need y'all help to help me really get into it. UFC fighting, MMA fighting is a little vulgar to me. It's hard to watch because it just seemed like it's like a street fight gone bad. That would have seemed like. And I remember my daughter, she wanted to get into it, and I took her and put her in the class. I told y'all this story before, right? Mm. And she was they mixed them up with little boys and little girls, and there was a little guy that was probably like a year or two older than her. He always jumped at the chance to be matched up with her. But when they was try moves, and I would see her tapping out, or they was telling break or don't go too hard. Everything was funny to this kid. He want to go a little bit farther, and I would get upset. And my daughter was like, "Calm down, I'm good, I'm good." But I would jump up and I be thinking in my head, man, I'm gonna beat your little ass if you hurt my daughter, and I'm gonna beat your mama ass too. I be looking at her because she just running off at the mouth, ain't caring. I'm like, I don't want your son teaming up with my daughter. I wound up taking my daughter out, y'all, but that had nothing to do with her. She was like, I was fine. It was you. I'm like, goddamn right. You break my daughter arm, I'm gonna break yours. Trey Finest. I would like to see two of my favorite fighters, Tank versus Russell's at RK Stadium or in B-More. Is RK they still be I thought that was reserved for like soccer now. You know, Drake, I was living up there. I lived in New Carrollton, Maryland, when it was called New Carrollton, Maryland. But you know it's called Hyattsville now. I don't know if they changed it since then. But I was there when they built that new stadium where they got the big circle and you come off on different streets to come. Because I used to take that way to cut across the city or whatever if I want to go somewhere, exit 15. I used to live off of exit 22, I think. But I didn't even know they still had things going on at Arcade Stadium. I thought they relinquished it over to the soccer teams and all that. But Tank versus Russell, Russell has definitely called that. I don't think Floyd wants that, but Tank is a good boxer. He's shown that he can box, so maybe that will be good going forward. But Gary got to do something. Gary got to do something. He got to come up like as good as Gary is. Time ain't gonna wait for his ass neither. So I don't know. But anywho, thank y'all for joining me and everything. It's like I said, it's not a lot of boxing news. There will be a boxing match on Christmas Day. I don't think nobody really gonna be looking at it. Melanicki. Let me actually give y'all the information. Milnicki Jr. versus Delomba on Fox Fight TV, and that's December 25th at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So on the day of Christmas, there is a boxing match to be watched. I don't know if most of us can watch it. And then you guys, like always, stay safe. Be safe out there. Enjoy your Christmas. Enjoy your family. Thank you for spending a little time with me. And remember, when you know better, you do better. Peace.